is exciting.
This is exciting.
It's our very first show. Hi, my name is Rusty Humphries. This is one of the smartest men on the planet.
Oh, stop.
You think Einstein is big? You think he's smart? You think some of these scientists, Dr. Fauci, people are thinking is a smart guy? They're amateurs compared to this guy. His name is Jeff Jr., and you are the CEO of Trajan Wealth.
That's right, and you are way too kind.
No,
way too kind. I'm blushing.
I'm an honest guy.
Oh, geez.
This is a guy that, now, I don't know about you. I'd like to retire with money. Mm-hmm. I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. There are some people that like to, they want to live in the streets.
There is. Mm-hmm.
They, don't care. Me, I want to do something that's going to take me to the next level. And
good.
Thankfully, we got you. That's what you do.
Yep, that's right.
And Trajan Wealth. What is a Trajan? I know what a Trojan is.
Mm-hmm.
That was
a little bit different.
The Trojan, of course, is the mascot of the USC Trojans.
Yeah, Trojan horse.
Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you are, like a Trojan horse to get my money?
So we're Trajan.
Okay, that's different. Good.
Get rid of the O.
Okay.
Replace
Trajan.
it with an A. So yes. Trajan. We named the company Trajan Wealth. Trajan is a former Roman emperor. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy history. I like Rome. I think Rome contributed so much to society. Yes. But Trajan is a former. He extended the Roman Empire by the largest extent, largely through military intervention. So a lot of my background, I was in the military. So I really like the story and I like the name. And the way I look at the organization is we're going to grow the organization because that's my goal and that's my objective. But we're going to grow the organization because we are growing our clients' portfolio. So I like the whole growth story.
You're kind of the general where you're kind of overseeing everything, helping
steer the ship.
all of your people, what do you call the folks that people work with?
Fiduciary advisors.
Okay, so all the advisors, you kind of work with them and kind of set the table, kind of say, okay, this is where the direction we're going.
Correct. Yep.
And then they help the clients like me.
That's right.
Build our wealth.
That's exactly right.
All right, we're done with the show. Right. Thank you very much for coming. We sure appreciate it. Now, what we're planning on doing with this program on a weekly basis, you probably listen to Jeff on the radio and you know what a great guy he is, you know how smart he is, but you probably don't know Jeff Jr. as a personal level. I want to do that a little bit so you can understand more of why he's so smart and why he's so good, why you want to work with him. And then as the weeks progress, we're going to start talking about individual aspects of growing your wealth and what to do.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So you were born a young child.
I was born a very young child.
Yes.
I was born in northern Wisconsin, a small little town called Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
You even had to think of that.
I did. Oshkosh. Yeah. It was the first year, and then we moved to Antigo, Wisconsin.
Oh, so you left the big city.
I left the big city for a tiny city. Antigo has a population of about 8,000.
Okay.
And that's where I was really raised, in Antigo, Wisconsin.
And what do you do in Antigo?
Not much. That's why I had to get away. So Antigo is northern Wisconsin, so you just kind of picture there's a lot of woods, there's a lot of trees, it's a small town. And there isn't a ton to do. So my dad we moved from Oshkosh to Antigo because we bought a 10-lane bowling alley.
Oh, how awesome is that?
It was pretty cool. Yeah. It was good growing up in the bowling alley. Yeah. There was a lot of positive to it. The reason we bought a 10-lane bowling alley was because my mom had hopes of becoming a professional bowler. Oh. She was semi-pro at the time. And so we moved from Oshkosh to Antigo, bought the 10-lane bowling alley. There was a bar and an arcade. So it was a pretty cool experience. And we had an apartment above the bowling alley.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I mean, this is important. Yeah. Did you get the bowling DNA? And are you like, 10-pin Jeff?
No, not by far.
No,
not by. I can break. I can break 3 digits on a very good day, but I'm horrible.
Yeah,
I got these fingers cracked in between balls more times than you can count. So
really,
I don't bowl too often. I do like bowling, but I'd say I worked around the bowling alley.
Now, my guess is then, if you weren't good at bowling back in the day, it would have been video games.
Oh, video games for sure.
Stuff.
Pac-Man. Oh yeah, Pac-Man, Centipede, Frogger. Mm. I'll take anybody down on those.
Okay, all right.
Jukebox. I know how to stick quarters in a jukebox with the best of them.
Awesome. So you lived above the bowling alley in
Antigo. Yep.
And so, how do you go from being the king of the arcade and the worst bowler in the alley to being a guy that's helping people retire wealthy?
Yeah. Crazy story, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think growing up in the bowling alley, I worked a lot around the bowling alley. I served drinks. I unclogged pins, I unclogged quarters from machines. I mean, you kind of name it. So it really gave me an entrepreneurial spirit, like my parents had at that point.
And a work ethic.
And a work ethic. And it really taught me the value of a dollar, because I saw my dad, in a bar, an arcade. I mean, you're staying up late. The bar doesn't close until 2,
right.
And you're repeating that every day up there. There is some beer drinking that happens in Wisconsin.
Really?
So you repeat that regularly,
yeah.
And so I saw, wow, he's really working hard, and it really instilled a work ethic. So as we got older, the bowling alley, we sold the bowling alley, and then my dad went into the banking industry. And my mom at that point was a nurse. She was a registered nurse at the Langlade Memorial Hospital, Langlade County, which is the county that Anigo is in. And my dad went in the banking industry, and he was a manager at a local bank. It was actually called Banner Bank. So a small little bank. It was actually a trailer that they pulled and kind of put down in a parking lot. That was the bank.
The bank was a trailer?
It was a trailer initially, and then they eventually built a building. But you just kind of picture this. And so I was a teller at the bank for a few years going through high school. So
you're in high school, you're a teller.
Mm-hmm.
Your work, were the adults kind of worried about giving, the kid?
No, quite the contrary.
Yeah.
I learned it was more they wanted. I think as a young kid, I was approachable. I think a lot of the adults didn't want to go to the other adults at the bank because they didn't want to appear stupid.
Okay.
They didn't want to appear, I don't know how to balance a checkbook. Why do I keep bouncing checks? I don't know what a Christmas club is. I don't know what a CD is or a savings account is.
Wait a second, they didn't know how to balance your checkbook?
Oh no, I've got some stories of checkbooks. I remember one lady specifically come in, and she wanted to be educated, but also at the same point she was incredibly frustrated.
Sure.
So her temper was short, but she knew still something was amiss. So she came in, just couldn't understand why she kept on bouncing checks. And her reason was, I've got plenty of checks left in my checkbook. How do I keep on bouncing these? I've got plenty here. So she didn't correlate, you have to have money in the bank account in order to write checks. Right. So, it was very eye-opening for me. Also other people, I'd opened up money markets and CDs and explain interest rates. And
so it sounds you kind of you like to be a teacher too, educator.
Very much so. Yeah. I always say for myself and also our fiduciary advisors, we have hearts of teachers, and we really do. It's not a matter of we're superior. It's not a matter of prospects or clients are inferior to us. We're all in this together. We're all a little cog in this great big wheel, right? And we all have a job to do. So I really enjoyed the teaching aspect. I liked working with people. It was, I liked that, okay, I get it moment that you'd see with people and their money. And I think money and people are so intimate. You have to be intimate with your money, otherwise it just flies away.
Right.
So it's really a matter of just teaching little principles and instilling them over time where people just get it. Okay, now I can't afford to retire. Oh my gosh, I would have never thought in a million years. It just kind of translates, when we're dealing with CDs, small money, or savings accounts, now up to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that people invest. It's a very similar storyline. It just has more zeros at the end of it over here.
And that's kind of why you want to do this podcast, was because you want to teach people how to do this and be comfortable so they can grow their wealth.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea.
Comfortable approaching, comfortable asking questions, because a lot of people, I think, they believe that they're the only ones that don't know how to invest.
Right. Or
don't know, how come I don't have any money? I'm the only one here. And that just isn't the case. There's millions and millions of us that are in the exact same boat. I didn't always have a knowledge of money and investments like I do now. I've spent years and years and years practicing that trade. And so that's where it goes back to the teacher aspect. We're starting from the beginning and we're working our way forward. And as far as our clients are concerned, we have all varying degrees. People who are just starting, meaning what is a stock, all the way through to I've already got hundreds of stocks. How can I improve my situation?
Okay, and that's one of the things question I have. I'm sure a lot of people do is, how much do I got to be Warren Buffett? Do I need to be rich to even start?
Right.
And how do I start? And that's probably a question you get a lot.
We get that a lot, and I think it's
a fair question, right?
It's a very fair question, and I always have to talk about this on the radio as well, because everybody, as soon as you think of a stock or a bond or a mutual fund, you automatically go to rich or even wealth. Like I had a little bit of an issue in the beginning with wealth being in our name because it just implies as though I have to have a lot of money.
You got to be
or I'm not,
the country club.
You have to be in the club. You have to be in that club. And that's just not the case. Our clients have done a little bit of saving already. So if we're starting down here, they've done a little bit of saving. So meaning they have a 401k. Let's just use an example. They've been with an employer for a few years. They have a 401k. They don't know what to do with it. They've always had it taken out of their paycheck month after month after month. They accumulated a couple bucks in there. Now what do I do with it? So generally, if we put it in a dollar sense, I'd say anywhere between $25,000 on the low end, is generally where we'll start, up to hundreds of thousands, millions, even more than millions. So there's a varying degree.
So I don't have to be super rich to get started.
You don't have to, and quite frankly, I think that's where the biggest value comes in, is where we can show you our value. You don't have to be uber rich. Our goal is to take you from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4 to wherever your ambitions really take you, and we'll help you to get there.
Good. Well, I don't want to tell you your business, but I'm kind of an expert at what you do. I did see the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, and so I know all about it.
Great movie.
Yeah, what you do is I give you money, you take a bunch of it. Then you say, hey, trade this, and then when you trade it, you take a bunch more money, and then you're always looking for pork bellies and orange juice. So I pretty much got the business down. Right.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
But definitely not indicative to what we do every day. There's a few movies out there that just paint financial people in a very bad light. Trading Places, I think, is one, even though it's a funny movie. You've got Wall Street. Is another one.
Look like Charlie Sheen.
Well, I appreciate that. Wall Street, which greed is good. Well, greed can be good, but you have to channel it.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street is another one. Boiler Room is another one.
So that's what this is. That's who you are.
So that's kind of a perception. Now, that makes great entertainment, but all too often that's just not the case. I know there are some bad stories out there. You've heard of Bernie Madoff, and you heard of some of these Ponzi schemes, but I'll kind of address that. There's really a couple different ways that you can be registered in this industry. So let's talk about registrations, and then we can get into some of the bad players and how they do it. So you can either be registered as a broker, or you can be registered as a fiduciary. Okay, so these are two different registrations, and you can't wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a fiduciary today. Okay, it's per license that you hold. The vast majority of financial advisors in this business are brokers. And what a broker means is that you now have a securities license to sell investments for commissions.
So that's kind of more the Trading Places month.
That's more of, that's a little bit different because they're dealing with stocks, and that's a very old movie, and I'd say that's a little bit different.
So don't even use that. Don't even think about
not to belay. That's
that
right.
one out.
Right.
Okay, so
but just remember the humor in it.
Okay, yeah. But basically, I buy something, you get a commission. You sell something, you get a commission.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, but that's not you.
And that's a broker.
Okay.
So a broker is incentivized to sell you a product, for better or worse. Now, it may not be in your best interest. It may be a horrible investment, but if he or she is earning a commission to sell you the product, of course, what do they want to do?
I'll say
here, sell the product. Buy this, buy this, buy this. And you have unnecessary pressure put on you by the broker to sell it. So that puts, obviously, people in a very uncomfortable position.
Sure.
Right? Now, as a fiduciary, on the other hand, we are incentivized to make you money. So how we're compensated is not through commission. Not that commission is bad. I understand that everybody has to make a living. But when you have the additional stress of needing to sell something to earn a living, that's problematic.
Right.
Okay? So we're paid through a flat advisory fee. So let's just use an example of 1%. So whatever you invest...
I was thinking you were going to say like 30 or 40%.
No,
Okay.
There are investments that exist out there like that.
Yeah.
Up to 20%. But let's just use 1%. That's a very typical average fee.
Okay.
If you invest X amount of dollars, we earn 1% per year, which is very different than a broker. If you invest X amount of dollars, they might earn 5 to 6% up front. See the difference?
Yeah, so the bigger my portfolio is, the more money I make, the more money you make on a flat.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So our incentive is to teach, educate, show you the value that we provide to you, but also to grow your portfolio, because The more you make, the more that we make, we're in it together. It's a mutually beneficial endeavor. And we look at this relationship, when we earn somebody's business, that's not an immediate deal.
Okay.
It takes time to develop that trust. It takes time to develop that relationship. So we look at it as though this is a 10-year relationship or a 20-year relationship. We look at this as we're going to be in this together.
And your idea is not, some people I'm sure come to you and go, okay, here's some money. It's March, double it by June.
Sure, right? Some people.
And it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. That again is the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But in real life, that's not what we do. Our goal is to grow our clients' assets prudently and effectively through diversification, tax advantages, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds fair to me.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad. Hopefully it sounds fair to everybody else out there.
Yeah. So what we want you to do is to subscribe to the show. And this is going to be a great way to not just learn about Jeff Jr., who you've heard on the radio a whole bunch, and who is this guy talking on all these great stations, but about how Jeff can help you. And even if you don't decide to work with Trajan Wealth, which is okay too, we'd like you to work with Trajan Wealth, but you're going to know a lot more about how to manage your wealth and how to manage your money and how to grow into retirement than you ever have. That's kind of what we're
That's
trying
the goal.
to do here. Yeah.
Teach and educate. That's it.
Right.
Yep. Simple as that.
Well, we sure hope you'll subscribe to the program. Just hit the subscribe button, share it, let people know. And whether you're watching us on YouTube or Vimeo or Apple Podcasts or Apple TV or Roku or wherever you're finding the program, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification button too, so you know every time a new show comes out. So, Jeff, to wrap things up, what do you want people to know about you and Trajan Wealth?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're here to educate. It's even if you don't decide to work with Trajan Wealth, that's fine and dandy. But
you're silly if you don't. I mean, that's just
for sure.
I think you should get rich and go with that. But that's me. You go ahead. Anyway, sorry.
But we're in the business to teach and educate. Like I said earlier, we have hearts of teachers. We're people too, and it's in our best interest to put you in investments that are in your best interest.
I like that. Well, we sure appreciate you. Subscribe, share, do all those great things. I'm Rusty Humphries. He is Jeff Jr., and thank you for joining us.
Investment advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor.